one little piece on Haney. Did you see anything from him that changed?
It wasn't so much of a change. It's Haney being Haney, but I was you never know because of the way he fought Ramirez. It looked a bit scared. He was a little bit PTSD from the Ryan Garcia fight. Maybe some guys are ultimately permanently changed when they go through an experience like that, regardless of the fact that Ryan popped 30. He Haney still physically went through that fight, so you had to consider whether it may have permanently altered his confidence. And in the Ramirez fight, and that was due to the way he fought the Ramirez fight, where it was, he moved around a lot and it wasn't a confident performance. But I think what you take out of the Norman fight is that Haney is confident. Haney can go box the way Devin Haney knows how to box, and I think sometimes people take away credit from Devin because he's not a guy who drops bombs. He's a guy who disarms bombs. It's the opposite, and I think especially the layman doesn't know how to appreciate that. It's easier to appreciate the guy who drops the bombs. The knockouts are more eye catching, big shots are eye catching rather than it is to appreciate the guy who disarms the bombs and takes them away from you and leaves you without a weapon to be able to use in a fight. I think people tend to appreciate that a little bit less, but nonetheless, it doesn't mean that they are any less effective. As a matter of fact, guys like that can have the potential to be more effective. That approach was the approach Roy Jones Jr. used to take. That was the approach Floyd Mayweather had. I'm not saying necessarily that Haney is on the Roy Jones and Floyd Mayweather level, but he's very good at disarming you. And Norman fell into that. Norman is a younger, probably stronger world champion. And Haney showed that he was the better fighter, and he was a smarter fighter, and he offset everything Norman did. And actually, the cherry on top was the knockdown as well. So it was a good dominant performance.
You think Norman can grow from this?
I think Norman will remain a player in the welterweight division. I don't think the welterweight division is that strong, which also helps out in the situation of keeping it competitive. I think Mario Barris is a very weak world champion. Rolly's inconsistent himself. Rolly Romero, who's the WBA champion. Crocker, the Irish guy, there's not a lot known about him here on this side of the pond, the IBF champion. So it's a weight class that has some name recognition with Haney, Ryan Garcia, and now Conor Benn, but it's not of the highest quality. So I think Haney can really separate himself from the pack and be the dominant guy, while Norman may be able to get a shot. I mean, again, the welterweight division ain't that strong. So Norman against Rolly, I think, will be a good fight. Maybe Ryan knocks off Barrios, and then maybe you make the Devin Haney rematch, or maybe if you don't, Norman gets a title fight against Ryan Garcia. I don't know, or Conor Benn jumps in there somewhere. I don't think Conor Benn was trying to downplay Haney, but I don't think Conor Benn can hit Devin Haney in the ass with a handful of rice, honestly. So I think. You have some potentially fun matchups. I think the welterweight division has been better. But the way it's shaping up, the competitiveness of it, I like it. Even the rivalries within it, I like it. Also, I will mention Tiger Johnson, who won on Pro Box TV about a month ago or earlier this month, actually looked really, really dominant, really, really good against Nicholas Floss. And Nicholas Floss was a guy who had looked really, really good coming in on Pro Box TV, and Tiger Johnson came in and dominated him. I think Tiger Johnson is also a player in this welterweight division and can be very dangerous. He's a former amateur standout, so he's kind of coming into his own as a pro as well. So he'll be a little bit of an added spice to a welterweight division that is still sort of finding its place.
Yeah. Any final wrapping thoughts on this weekend? Anything that
No, I think the guy that really stood out.
Who won the weekend? Who won?
I think Abdullah Mason did. He's a 21-year-old. He's a 21-year-old phenom who can box his ass off, but chooses to fight a lot.
Yeah.
And Sam Noakes also is a guy who, if this weight class wasn't so strong, I would predict him to go on to win a world championship himself. But this weight class is so strong that he may still be prevented from winning a world championship. I think he could, but I mean, you look at the champions of this weight class, man. It is crazy. You got Davis was just going to hold the title hostage and not going to fight anybody. But the rest of the guys, which sucks because it's one less championship available. But you got Morataya and Andy Cruz fighting for the IBF title. That is a crazy, crazy fight. That's a sick fight with two monsters. You've got Shakur Stevenson, WBC champion. Okay, and the WBO champion is now Abdullah Mason. So you've got the champions, the winner of Morataya and Andy Cruz, crazy champion. Strong champion. And even a loser, honestly, is going to be very strong in that fight. The loser still remains a player. You've got Shakur Stevenson, WBC champion, almost unbeatable. You've got Abdullah Mason, WBO champion, who's just established himself at world-class level and is very, very tough to beat, and is going to be a phenom, and probably is a phenom already. And you've got contenders like Zepeda, who lost to Shakur his last fight, but had been impressive in his career thus
Keyshawn
far.
Davis, not bad.
Keyshawn Davis is at 140. He missed weight and he lost a title, and he's going to be at 140.
Oh, he's at 140. Okay.
But you've got who else did you have? I was mentioning somebody else. Zepeda. I had somebody else on the tip of my tongue. It'll come back to me. But either way, it's
Beetlejuice.
Kevin Farmer, who's still a fringe guy, and actually, what it is? He got knocked off by Schofield. What am I saying? Schofield has to be a guy you have to mention as well. Floyd Schofield to knock off Kevin Farmer with a quick knockout. Floyd Schofield's still in that mix, who may get a shot. Who's very good himself, but yet you would not be able to favor him against any of the lightweight champions. And then you got fun punchers with some limitations like Lucas Body, who knocked Ashton Silva out cold a couple of years ago on the MVP card, if you remember. Mm-hmm. You've got these guys hanging around the lightweight division, both as champions and contenders. Lightweight's a real difficult weight class.